A top priority of my chairmanship will be to provide a firm regulatory foundation for digital assets through a rational, coherent, and principled approach. We will work to ensure that the United States is the best and most secure place in the world to invest and to do business.
You heard the man. You know what's gonna be happening next. A massive wave for crypto is on its way. Together with what we covered just yesterday and the day before, that the moment that gold peaks, it tends to be a very bullish moment for Bitcoin as well. Not gold peak in itself really, but for one reason is that it kind of sets a limit higher. It sets the ceiling for what Bitcoin can go higher as a store of value, because the bigger gold is, I'd say the higher I also think that Bitcoin can go, because I think they could be kind of similar. But second of all, because the moment that gold peaks, usually, well, Bitcoin follows right after. And we saw the most recent peak at 3,500. Well, we basically said most likely gold peaks here as Trump made some statements saying, hey, he who controls the gold has the power, whatever he said. It kind of made gold go so insane that right now it's fallen a little bit and Bitcoin decided to pump afterward. Everything just working like clockwork, but I'd say also partially because everything is up right now. And why? Well, because of Trump's comments, sure, but also some people might have not realized it, but China signals an openness to talk with the US about these trade deals. They basically said if the US stops with their threats, they might be open to it, but it's interesting. Something is not adding up though. Trump on April 7th says Fed Chair Powell is slow moving. Then Besant on April 14th, Trump administration is thinking of a successor to Powell. Then Trump on April 17th, Fed Chair Powell will be out of there. Then on April 19th, studying if he can fire Powell. On the 21st, Fed Chair Powell is a major loser. And then today, one day afterwards, he has no intention to fire Fed Chair Powell. What changed today? I mean, prices went up, sure, but what did he do? I mean, they probably have the ins and outs of this China deal, and maybe things are so good in the back end now that they don't need to fire him. Or was there some sort of threats made? I don't know. China signals an openness to U.S. trade talks, warns against threats though. China expressed willingness to resume the talks with the U.S., which are interesting because Trump kept saying things were going so well, after President Trump suggested cutting tariffs on Chinese goods. However, Beijing warned that it won't negotiate under the continued threats. Quote, "We don't want a trade war, but we're not afraid of one," said Foreign Ministry spokesperson 𝗲𝗂. If we talk, the door is open. Anyway, some additional updates in paradise was that President Trump says that tariffs on China will come down substantially and he won't play hardball, which is a complete shift from earlier, by the way. It's interesting how these negotiations are coming along. And he said the tariffs won't be as high as 145%. It will come down substantially, but won't be zero though. All right, we got to keep that in there. It won't not be zero. But anyway, remember, ladies and gentlemen, that still the bull market is in full going mode, even though we're going down over the last few weeks. I talked before about how, for example, on the XRP chart, you can clearly see it was a crazy impulse up and a slow descent down, which usually is followed by an extreme push, especially if the, I guess let's call it break, happened around an all-time high without actually breaking through. But right now, as it currently stands, we're, as you can just clearly see from a weekly chart on Bitcoin, we're getting to an interesting point now where things are starting to turn around. Right, that previous bottom, it's still slightly higher, but let's just say around this level is where we previously bottomed out at roughly 93,000, and that's potentially where we're going to start building from right now. Right? I mean, right now we're facing the resistance, but if we crush this, it's going to be crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, when we take a look at XRP, you can also see the breakout is happening. We are potentially getting rejected here at roughly 225, 226. It depends on what happens over the next few hours. But if we were able to cross this, especially if we're able to get ourselves the candle closing above it, things could get very, very interesting. Why? Well, because we've had ourselves this downtrend, right? We have broken out of it with this initial candle. This will be the confirming candle. If it also confirms above 225, that's just double, triple, quadruple, extra bullish. And that's also why I opened this XRP trade at the bottom, because again, we were anticipating a change of structure basically. And if you're wondering about the bots, because I promised I was going to do an update on them every single day, I'm thinking of adding a few more bots to it today. The only problem being here that I think it might be wise if I put it in a separate video, just so everybody, can keep the bot videos easier together instead of being all separate. But I also need you guys to comment down below which different assets you'd like to see. For example, Solana, I think we should do a bot for that, and maybe Ethereum. Those two are my main coins. But I'm also thinking if the market starts going crazy, I'll be adding a ton of different altcoins as well, just to maximize the profit on them, and do it with low leverage, so it's kind of hard to get wrecked. I shouldn't say kind of hard, just, it can most likely just work. Bitcoin and XRP, in my opinion, this is not financial advice, are very, very low risk. But obviously, the crazier the altcoin, the crazier the profit potential, but also the higher the risk. Anyway, if you want to follow along with my strategy exactly, check out the link down below to Payonics. It's the crypto exchange I'm using right now to trade on with these bots. Fully automatic, very, very simple. The link is right there. If you want to follow along with my bots, the XRP and Bitcoin bot are just able to be copied. And the Payonics bot bonus is also down there. This is just so you can get yourself upwards of $800 just for free if you deposit, I think, $5,000 or so. And you can use Payonics from any country in the world, but some countries might be restricted, meaning you might need to use a VPN. Some people have asked me, hey, I cannot deposit. It doesn't seem to work. Guys, it might ask you for KYC 1. You know what you do? You put in a random name. This is what it looks like. You put in a freaking random name and a random country, right? Maybe put in Belgium or something like that. It shows you that a couple of countries are not accepted. So, just make sure you click these buttons saying, hey, I'm not from there. They don't check, all right? Only for KYC 2 do you need to verify your ID, etc. But you don't need to do that. So I'm not sure what the maximum is that you can deposit or withdraw. There might be a max for it. Maybe it's $20,000. Maybe it's a couple $100,000. But it's just limits on the daily amount you can do. It's not a limit of how much money you can have in your account or get out of your account. It's just there's maximums a day without verified accounts. But that's not really that big a problem, I'd say. Also, if you've got that much money, eventually, right, you'll figure out another way to get it out. You can always just buy KYC. Anyway, that's a different story for different day. There's also always a link to 𝗬𝗓𝗓 down below, just for normal trading. Well, that one doesn't ask any questions. You can even, I think, just log in from the US. They never ask anything, I believe. But that's for normal trading, right? Payonics here is with the bots. It's my newest strategy. It works beautifully. But again, I have to reiterate, everybody who's been following along with my bots here has been making insane amounts of money in just a day or two. And that's the nice thing about this. It'll keep going on automatically. Just automatically, as simple as that. I am loving every single second of it. And I wish I showed you guys earlier, but it's never too late to start. At least we got into it now. And the nice thing is also, I'm documenting everything from day one. So I'll be updating it every single day or every single time I add a bot, exactly how much money I'm putting into it. Every single part will be added to my sheet because I am so confident it's going to be doing amazing. Not financial advice, it's just my journey that I'm sharing with you, but I think I'll do amazing. And I don't take those words lightly. I think it will be amazing, amazing. Anyway, for all of you wondering when is a proper time to enter just manual Bitcoin trades, I'd say anything above 95,000. Once we confirm 95,000, it means the trend has basically shifted. That's when things start getting better for Bitcoin again. At this point, you're buying pretty high into this move. For the bots, since the bots are mainly trading volatility, they make profit as the price goes up and down and up and down. That's where they shine at the most. They don't shine if everything is just up only. They do. You still make profits, but you make way more if it's down and up and down and up, which is what mostly happens in crypto. The best scenario, though, is if it goes down and up and down and up like this. So it slowly but surely comes up. But again, that's why I always have both. That's why I also have normal positions in place all the time, because these make more money if things just go straight up and zoom and go crazy. Again, you might remember, I've still also got my main trades here. The XRP trade is still $40,000 in the minus. Virtual's about $12,000. Virtuals I'm not so sure about, man. The AI hype is just completely gone. But we've got a realized P&L of about $3,000 or so. That is interesting. I forgot about that completely. Anyway, and the Bitcoin trade was in minus, I don't know how much. It was minus a pretty good amount. Right now it's plus $2,000 again. And the XRP trade also was, I think, minus $100,000 earlier when the price went down significantly. But right now it's also in only minus 40,000. You might say only? Yeah, because to me it's not that big a deal. I mean, we tried to buy the dip. It's still a $300,000 XRP position, but soon it will be significantly more as prices start to go up. Then again, the reason I did not add so much to this anymore is because we were changing the strategy a bit. We basically said if the price comes crashing down because of Trump now coming in and changing everything, we're going to buy hard, which is why I should have bought a little bit harder at $1.60. We bought a couple tens at, I think, like $50,000 though at that price range. But this is also just to prove a point that even though our average price is very, very high, over time, this will even itself out. And again, right now, the structure has changed. It started to go from downtrend that we've seen for all these weeks and months to right now, hopefully, finally an uptrend. And I'm really, really excited for it. And I also want to show you guys one additional thing. This is really interesting to me. First off, that they put up a freaking ETFs for penguins and for Melania. That was quite interesting. But more importantly, that there are 72 crypto-related ETFs sitting with the SEC right now that we're basically waiting for here. And I kind of wonder how crazy the market is going to get once we get these XRP, Solana, and all these different ETFs in place, because it's going to allow for such a new wave of institutional money to come on in that we have never experienced, really, right? I mean, we've seen for Bitcoin, we've seen for Ethereum, really, but those are, it's different. It's just different than with a proper altcoin like an XRP, like an Ethereum. Also because of this regulatory clarity, I really wonder how that's going to go, right? Because Ripple/XRP, in the position that they're in, I wonder if they would just not go crazy on that. And fun fact, it's also not the time where some crazier altcoins are getting these things. I mean, Melania, we can joke about it, but it was a huge coin. And that leads me to believe that really the real stupid dummy times really have still yet to happen, right? They're still in play, and so to speak, the market's going to get so much crazy. Just think about it, right? We've not even seen the whole crazy ETF hype. It's not even happened just quite yet, where just every single altcoin and things of that sort gets some sort of listings because everybody, every institution wants to make money on it. We haven't seen that yet this cycle. I keep reiterating, I keep saying, Bitcoin is breaking up, Bitcoin is doing beautifully. Broken above most of the moving averages we like to see, broke up from the head and shoulder pattern, inverse head and shoulder pattern. But the trajectory is still set for an all-time high between August of 2025 and January of 2026. Don't lose sight, I guess, of where we're headed, right? I know short term, sometimes you get a little bit confused. Even if you start dipping back down, if you take a look at this 2024 period, for example, if we're to copy this along, we could actually still continue to go down for a little bit before again spiking up later throughout the year. Keep that in the back of your head. That's the most important thing to realize. Anyway, like I said, if you want to join in on my trading strategies, make sure you use the links down below. I've explained to you exactly how to join my team, how to copy along with my bots, but I'll say it once more. Check out this link down below, right there, the top one, to make yourself an account. Once you've done that, claim your bonus. The link is right there. It'll look like this right here. Just, if you deposit and you get yourself some nice, potentially up to $800 bonus. Maybe in the midst, it'll ask you to verify your ID. It'll most likely just be a verification level 1, meaning you could put any country and any name in there. So just put whatever you want in there, right? Belgium, and your name is freaking 𝗕𝗓𝗪. I don't care what you do. This is what I did. Again, you cannot get this bonus if you did not use the link down below. It's only for our community. And then the other two links will be to our bots, the XRP bot and the Bitcoin bot. And all you got to do is just press copy the bot. It's as simple as that. And yeah, I'll be updating on these bots every single day, so you can just come along with the journey. Everybody who joined me yesterday already made a ton of profit in just one day. I cannot guarantee results for tomorrow, the day after, or whatever. And I know some days will be tough. The losses in the midst might be really, really awkward, but over a longer term, it'll work itself out, is what I'm highly convinced of. You know what? That's about it for this video. See you guys later in another one. Make sure you press that like button, and